Slack is where most teams live. It's the daily dashboard, the virtual office, the way you collaborate and communicate with your team. But did you know that you can manage your projects within Slack with no extra tools required? It's not aiming to be another ClickUp or Jira, but for small teams, freelancers, and startups, Slack offers just enough structure to keep your projects organized without the overheads of a project management platform. Hey there, I'm Alex Knowles from SoftwareFinds, and we are building out the source of truth for any and all information and reviews on business software. No more overhyped marketing fluff. We understand what businesses needs, and we want to provide you with the right information. And if you're juggling chats, tasks, and tools, using Slack for your project management might make life a whole lot easier. So in this video, we're diving into how Slack actually works as a project management tool, where it shines, where it falls short, and whether it's enough to manage real projects for you. When people mention project management in Slack, they're not talking about a dedicated tool like Asana or ClickUp. Instead, Slack weaves project tools directly into the communication workspace you already use, letting you organize, track, automate, and manage work right alongside your team's conversations. The core parts that we're looking at are Slack lists, the heart of Slack's project tracking, workflows, Slack's built-in automation engine, Slack Canvas, the collaborative documentation, and of course, conversations, which are and will always be the central focus of Slack and why it's so popular. Together, these features turn Slack into a surprisingly capable, lightweight project hub, especially for teams that already live in it daily. So let's take a look at how Slack compares to other project management tools out there, and more importantly, if you can survive without needing to purchase yet another platform subscription. Now, I'm sure that you're aware you can access Slack either via the browser or the desktop version. Majority of people tend to lean to using the desktop version as it's faster, cleaner, and you don't have to switch between tabs to get back in. If you are on the desktop version, then follow along and we'll start looking at lists, but most of this information also relates to the desktop version. If you're on a free plan, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see these features previously mentioned. So you'll have to get onto the paid plan. But with that, not only do you get team communication as well as communication with your clients, but you also get access to these features that can help you with your project management. Now, you can access these features or these project management tools directly from any channel. You'll notice that we've got the plus icon up here, which will allow us to add a new tab. From that, we can select a canvas, list, link, workflow, or folder. Let's first look at lists, as this is where your tasks will get done and the needle is moved. When you select to add a list, you'll be shown the list that you previously created, or you will have to start a new list from scratch. But once you land in your new list, you'll see the ability to create a template. Let's take a look at the deal tracker. So we'll use this template within our Slack list. And there we can see we've got separate deals, deal values, priority. Basically, we've got a lightweight and clean project management hub directly in our Slack. Now, the big win here is how we can connect this to our conversations, but we'll talk about that later in the video, so make sure you keep watching. Slack Lists was first introduced as a lightweight for teams to manage their tasks. Things like tasks, owners, due dates, and statuses, without you needing to jump into a complete separate platform. The idea was simple. If work is already happening in Slack conversations, then the tasks that come out of those conversations should live there too. So on paper, lists simply act as a shared task list, a mini project tracker, or a bridge between chat and actual execution. But back into the actual UI itself, you'll see the deal tracker that we're working with. Perhaps we want to create a new list that is just a blank canvas. Don't get that confused with canvases, which are the documentations of Slack. You'll have your task list name here, or your list name. Let's go with just simply project tracker. Then you can describe how you and your team will actually use this. And of course, you've got the items or the tasks, complete review. You of course have assignees and owners, which will be the members of your Slack workspace, due date, and then you can add custom fields. You'll be able to select any field type from text to number. We've got the usual suspects, but we also have now got included messages, which allow us to actually reference conversations that are going on in our workspace, voting, and of course, Canvas, which is documentation. Now, what we don't see here that we see in other project management tools are fields that are important for when your project pipeline starts to become a real workload. Think about dependencies, time estimates, multiple assignees or roles. You don't have the ability to include multiple choice or drop downs. You don't have related fields, and you definitely don't have roll-ups. Nor do you have subtasks, which are a real important part of most project tracking pipelines. What you do have though is lightweight filtering, as well as a table and a board view. You can sort, hide fields, and group them specifically. However, we are missing a lot of that customizability and configurability we see from the top project management tools out there. If you can't see Slack lists available in your workspace, well, either you aren't on a paid plan, which you must be, or your admin hasn't set it up in the workspace settings. So ensure that you get that done, then you'll see it available. While Slack doesn't offer you deep architecture like ClickUp, Zoho Projects, Rike, and other competitors, it does provide you with a lightweight system for capturing, organizing, and collaborating on work. Slack lists are the core container. Each one acts like a lightweight project board, tracking everything from client onboarding to feedback to internal to-dos. There's no real hierarchy here, no subtasks, no dependencies, no milestones, no project phases, but with naming conventions, filters, views, and smart use of custom fields. Slack lists won't replace full project architecture, but for fast-moving teams, they're a flexible layer on top of your day-to-day communications. And critically, you can create tasks from anywhere, inside a list, from a Slack conversation, via a form submission, or even through the workflow builder automation. So let's discuss those last two mentioned, forms and workflows. Now, Slack doesn't offer native forms inbuilt into your lists or even your workspaces, but there is a workaround using the workflow builder. So to create a workflow, simple, same process we follow for creating a list. We can add a workflow from up here, which will open up our templates or a blank one if we choose to. However, we'll also find it within the tools on the left here. Here we can see workflows. So if we select templates, we'll be able to see the templates we have available. Let's go with a form, as that's what we are discussing. All connectors, timesheet submission. Let's go with this. We'll select that. Here we can see it starts from a link in Slack, collect info in a form, and send a message to a channel. So we'll set that up. And in the same pop-up is where we actually update the form. Submit your timesheet, form questions. Let's jump to the next step. And here we can see the channel where that is actually going to post the input. And we can actually publish the workflow directly from here. We can utilize variables, which are the inputs from the form itself. And I'll just quickly show you what that looks like if you're creating one from scratch. So we'll build a workflow, and this is going to be a blank canvas here. We'll choose an event. We know that that's from a link because that is where the form comes from, and then we'll continue from there. But I have to reiterate that these forms are not visually tied to a list like we find in ClickUp or Asana. However, they can send data to a list, notify a channel, or assign work to a teammate. It is a lightweight workaround, but for most teams, it's enough of a standardized input. Now, when considering the workflow builder, this is basically Slack's no-code automation tool. You can set up automations that trigger from your conversations, but also from your lists, like when a list item is created, when a status changes, when a field is updated. And then from there, you can set up your steps or your actions, like sending a message to a channel or a person, updating another list item. Now, it's definitely not Zapier deep. It's not as functional as competitors like Jira Workflows, ClickUp automations, but it is easy to set up. It is tightly integrated into your Slack workspace or ecosystem, and it is super helpful for automating everyday steps that you would manually do. So Slack lists helps you manage your tasks and the things you need to do. The workflow builder helps you automate and move the needle. But what about documents, docs, notes, briefs, decisions that give those tasks and that work meaning? And that's where Slack Canvas comes in. Canvas is essentially a collaborative document space that lives inside Slack, attached to channels, DMs, or even lists and tasks themselves. Again, you can access a canvas by selecting it from the ad up the top. You'll see your recently created canvas. You can create one from scratch, or of course, you can access it from files on the side. Now, this is a simple builder. We'll give it a header. Let's say SOP documentation. We can add a cover, what's on the document for today. We use the usual / command to bring in other elements. Checklists, your text formatting, tables, dividers, bullet point lists, code, date, reminder, media as well. And you can actually bring in your workflows, your lists, and your teammates so you get better visuals on what is going on. However, Canvas does not try to be your knowledge base or your long form document store, and it simply isn't at the level of Notion docs or Smart Docs. It is just enough, though, within your space to add clarity without leaving Slack. So you can record your documents, your SOPs, meeting notes, whatever it might be, and share it amongst your team. It's definitely helpful if you are remaining within the Slack workspace, or the Slack ecosystem, we'll begin to call it. However, the functionality just isn't there to match what we see from other project management tools like ClickUp, Airtable even, Smart Suite, or Asana. And when it comes to deeper insights and documentation, think reporting, well, Slack just simply doesn't offer this. If you're coming from tools like ClickUp, Smartsheet, or even Zoho projects, you might be wondering, where's reporting? Short answer, Slack just really doesn't have it. There's no dashboard view, no charts, no analytics panel. You won't find task burn downs, velocity reports, or work heat maps, nor graphs here. It's just not offered by Slack, and that's because it's not trying to be that kind of tool. If your team needs detailed metrics, time tracking, or structured reporting, you'll likely need to export to another tool or integrate with something like Google Sheets via automation. So we took a look at all of the things that help you manage your projects with Slack beyond communication. What about using the app? We know we've got the desktop and the browser, but how about mobile? I'm sure we're all well aware of how helpful the Slack mobile app is, or how intrusive on our weekends and time off it might be, but it is one of my favorite apps to help me get work done and, of course, move the needle. The mobile app is another piece teams often ask about, and Slack does an amazing job of making lists accessible on the go. However, that functionality still remains. It just simply isn't up there with the heavy hitters or the big project managers that we know and love. It works well for fast-moving teams who need visibility on the go without waiting to get back to their desk. So we've taken a look at how Slack performs as a project management tool, but what about the cost? How much bang do you get for your buck? Slack Lists, which is the main feature or tool needed to manage your projects and your work, is only available on paid Slack plans. If you're on a free tier, you just simply won't see it nor have access to it. Most teams will unlock lists with the Pro plan, which starts around $8, and that'll include Slack Lists, Workflow Builder, Canvas, unlimited app integrations, and message history, all the things you need to move the needle. So if your team is already paying for Slack, Lists is effectively free. It's a free project management tool. A bonus feature that could help you drop other project management subscriptions, or an early adoption as you're trying to pave the way and work out what your pipeline looks like. So for freelancers and small teams, that's a big upside. You're already paying for Slack for your communications with your clients. You already get a free project management tool. You'll get lightweight task management tracking, automation, all of that without adding another tech stack or another subscription or invoice. But more importantly, who is Slack as a project management tool best for? In reality, it's perfect for teams who already live in Slack, but want a simpler way to manage work without bolting on another platform. If you're a small agency, startup, freelancer, or internal team needing visibility without complexity and overheads, then Slack Lists is a great option for you. And of course, if you're only just starting to work out how your project tracking, project management, and pipelines look, well, for no cost, it is a great tool. But if your team needs task dependencies, Gantt timelines, advanced dashboards, reporting, or more functionality from your project management platform, then you're going to hit the ceiling quite quickly. Slack isn't trying to be your heavy lifting project management platform. It's trying to keep your communications and your tasks in one clean space. And honestly, it nails it. If you want to find out which tools are best for you and your business, well, head to SoftwareFinds.com, where we are building the source of truth for reviews and comparisons of all business software.